Let's say hello, hello, happy. What's today? Tuesday. How we feeling? How we doing? What's a good word?
It kind of hurts.
What?
My stomach kind of hurts.
Oh, you little jammed up. It's that dairy. I'm trying to tell you.
I was about to say I didn't even have dairy today, but that's not true. I had cheese. And
Okay, come on, Chi. I've been doing really good of not indulging in dairy products. Very proud of myself. Even today, um, we have mac and cheese, and I was like, won't do it. I'll make myself a little shrimp scampi. Waiting for me on the stove. Thank you.
nice, nice, nice.
So you're welcome in the room, everyone. Tap in. Let us know when you hear. We would love for you to be engaged in the conversation. We asking all the whys. We need to know. We're nosy. We know. we of course our episode of August was focused on the feels. How we feeling? Are we really feeling the feels, or we're just trying to move past it? All that good stuff. And Shanice, of course, posted our what's the word activity. So it's gonna be fun.
Definitely want to know if you guys took advantage of that activity and how you did it. How did it play out for you? Um, you know, I don't know. I don't know if you ran into a scenario where you needed to break down your whys. I know we didn't personally do it together.
So you and I didn't. It was so funny while you were here. I was like, oh, we should have done it. After, of course, after the fact, you're already on the flight back. I was like, dang, why didn't we think about that previously? So
The
like you
good
mentioned,
feelings going on.
right? So you and I didn't do it, but actually last night, Anthony and I were able to do it with for him. And of course, it was very interesting. Obviously, for me, I've done it multiple times with different people. So, but something that I acknowledge within myself is because I've done the activity. Um, at points while he was talking, I was listening to respond instead of listening to understand. Um, and I guess too for me is I had my personal um, opinion of what I believe is the root. And so we talked it through, and it was actually a very informative conversation. Um, but I'd love to, one thing that also I think was like either an aha moment or I want to question other men
Mm.
is working through the why activity. At least with Anthony, I felt like it came a point where he just wanted to be right or felt like it was he had the answer. And I'm like, no, you're thinking more, I guess, factual and not necessarily answering the question. I'm like, keep it clear and
What do you mean
concise.
by factual? Like trying to get to like the end without going through the steps, or like,
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. And I should say additionally in that is that once we got down to where I would say we would stop asking the whys, the way I perceived it and understood or heard him was not the way that he understood and heard it as well. Um, he was more of like, no, I just said like that was because it turned out like that because let me not even go around. Hi, mom. Um, we started with a conversation about a car, right? Okay, so you said it was hard, um, car situation. Why didn't it get done? What blah 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 blah. At the root of it, to me, was so. What it sounds like to me is that you haven't been able to get it done, or just things in your life because you are focused on you're so focused on the next person and helping them and supporting them. And he was like, no, 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 it didn't get done because it didn't get done because XYZ happened. And he was still focused on the first question and not the root of it. Does that make sense?
I don't know. Actually, like I get like I don't know. So you're doing the Y activity, it's related to like the car, and then you're saying you were basically bringing up what you thought was the root cause of one of the Y's. And
No. So we went through it. I asked why he was responding, and naturally in the act, at the towards the end, it's like, okay, so we're now here, right? You talked about, your vision. Why is that important to you? Because you want, you know, a better life for yourself, but also the people around you. And I'm like, okay, so heard you on that. And I said, okay, so summary of it, go back to the main question. Why wasn't it able to get the car on the road? Instead of like the end, the root of what we got to, he circled back of like, well, no, I didn't hit the car wasn't on the road because this came up, this came up, this came up. You're not connecting, I don't think.
I thought you were continuing what you're saying.
Oh, no. That was it.
Okay. So was he not answering honestly? Like I don't get how he didn't connect the original like issue to what the ultimate why happened to be.
One, I think he might have been confused about the activity.
Oh, okay.
That's a big piece of it. But missing that I'm not solely like I'm not. I think like us just saying, okay, I couldn't get the car set up because it was hard. Like it was hard work. Let's just say that's what it was. And not realizing that there's an underlying reason behind. Yes, facts are that this came out, you had to take care of this, that were top priority for you. That's to me, that's surface level. That surface level of, yes, the question at hand. Okay, why weren't you able to do it? Cool. XYZ. Okay, so why was that? Why were those a bigger priority? As you know, with the I think what might be easier, because I think I'm like kind of going around because I'm also trying not to put out the business. Is that
Right. I mean, I get that too. Yeah. So
I think it would be helpful if either you and I go through a Y activity together, or one thing I think would be even better is that if anyone that is currently watching this with us here on the live, if you are comfortable to come on live with us and let Shanice and I work through the Y activity, the what's the word of the week. So,
awesome.
huh?
So yeah, so that would be awesome. So anybody watching, if you would like to do the activity, definitely let us know in the comments, and we will definitely get you the link to join us. Yeah, I think explaining or doing the activity may also help. Shara, is it sounding like it's you that needs to join?
Right. Are you coming on?
Let us know.
Know. We will gladly work through an activity with you.
I feel like lately, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like, so just in case, like personally, a not. However, that's you being real. Be real. Come on,
Right.
however you want. I was almost in a bonnet as well.
Literally, she took it off seconds before we.
Yeah.
uh,
I'm trying to think of. I've been having some pretty good days, so I'm trying to think of like an emotion that I either needed to work through or could have used some help going through. Well, let us know. Let us know.
Great. When you are ready, you let us know. I'll hit you with the link, and then you'll be able to join.
I'll be right back. I need to do something real quick.
Okay, no problem. So for our Get Real Sisters Pod Squad, as a refresher, our topic of the month was Feel the Feels. We were digging in a little bit deeper into our emotions that may come on to us. And if you're anyone like me, when it is a negative emotion, I try my very best to spin it into a positive and not even think, not marinate, not even think about the negative emotion and move past it. And although there's pros and cons to both sides, it's super important in my eyes, my opinion, my experiences, that you sit with the emotion, right? Example, stressed, aggravation, frustration. Right? It doesn't feel good in the core, and I'm hip. I don't want you to sit there and live in it. That's not what we're saying. We're saying, feel the feels, work through that emotion, understand, okay, what is the root? Why did you respond so aggressively? Why are you so passionate about whatever? And work through it. Maybe on your own. Sometimes that works for people to work through the emotion on your own. But also in our episode, Shanice and I shared some best practices that work for us when these emotions come up. I must also say is that I think sometimes, right, perception is reality. That is something like my company kind of lives for or talks about very often. And I believe it to a certain extent. Sometimes you can come across of like having things so figured out. You don't need help from nobody. And why I'm even saying this is I believe that sometimes people may look at, say, Shanice and I, and think that we do, right? Our lives are figured out. And let me just be clear. Even if we are sharing some of these best practices and being like, hey, again, sit in it, write it out. We are human, okay? We don't have it all figured out. We might not be very consistent on some of the things. We're aware of it and we're working through them, right? So I don't want it to, again, the perception here to be that, okay, Jasmine and Shanice are the experts. We are simply just speaking off of our personal experience. That's it. And we think it's very important. And another reason of why we have this platform is one, to make conversations a thing, being able to dig deep with one another, bring our own opinion, our own perspective to the table. It's okay if we don't agree with each other as a unit, right? You can come on here and have a completely different opinion and completely different perspective than us. We still want to hear from you, right? I'll speak for myself. I like getting to know and understand another side of things, right? If I'm like, no, right? Like, I can't see how you see it that way. Oh, hey, welcome back.
Thanks. Sorry,
Um,
to leave you hanging.
I was just sharing of how, you and I are definitely humans, and maybe at times the perspective could be by just watching us via social media, different platforms that we kind of have it figured out. And I was just expressing that we are human and we're really just sharing our personal experiences, our personal opinions and perspectives. And we're open to hearing everybody else.
Of course, and social media, we all know, is basically fake news. I'm only posting the good things there. Sometimes I might post something random that's like sort of how I'm feeling, but most of the time, like, I'm only showing people what I want them to see.
No
And
doubt.
that still doesn't mean that I don't go through hard things or go through times where I'm really like breaking down, but I'm not necessarily also trying to put that type of negativity and whatnot out into the world as well. Like,
I agree. Definitely. While Shara gets her wig situated, for you this week or even last week, since we, shared the episode, how about you? How have your emotions been? How have you been able to kind of work through? If there's been any feelings of,
that's what I was trying to think through. Actually, okay. I got.
Tweety bad.
um. All right, yeah, I got one. This was related to one of my new hires that I had to have a tough conversation with them about their status within the company. So, just for a little bit of background, um, as a trainer where I work, there's a certain amount of points that each of our new hires have to reach before they can move on, basically, in training. This particular person wasn't going to be able to make the points, and although I don't hold the ultimate decision, like I don't say yes you stay, yes you go, I was really needing to work through the tough emotional connection I had to this person already. Like, we've already
Yep.
spent four-ish weeks together when this is happening, so I'm already pretty close to everyone in the classroom. And this person was super sweet, always talked about how they were grateful to be there. And, I was really rooting for them, but, the scores weren't there. And I just had to report up and stuff. So I would say that continues to be probably a difficult emotion for me to work through, is not feeling guilty about what's happening if I need to have these tough conversations.
Right.
And also not taking it personal, like thinking it's really me. Like, what could I have done better for this person or taught them in a different way for them to be able to be successful when, there was definitely a majority of the class passing and doing well, asking for extra help, things like that, that this person didn't necessarily take advantage of, even though they were very sweet, although in class they did all right and stuff. It just didn't line up with the scores that they needed to be able to move on.
I think that's a big one to hit on, especially in the workplace environment. Like you said, like, your position is the training, but I feel like that probably comes up in a good majority of others.
Like leadership roles. I mean, even it doesn't even necessarily have to be leadership. Like, I feel like any time that you need to have a difficult conversation with someone, like, like me, I don't like confrontation in general, so it just fills me with like anxiety, and I just want to make sure that I'm always saying not the right thing, but be quiet, Tidy.
So annoying.
Maybe lose my train of thought.
Don't look at his responses, Tidy.
But so everyone needs to have these difficult conversations, and yeah, I lost what else I was saying. So
that's okay. That's okay.
Hopefully, y'all got the gist of where I was trying to go with that.
Right. Hi, Troy.
Hi, Melinda.
Welcome in. Welcome in.
Did you say Tracy?
I said Troy.
Oh,
get it together.
You got that wrong.
How was the week? We are again talking about the feels. Truthfully, for me, for this week, I feel like because I was so aware of what I wanted to work on, aka my emotions and sitting with them. Go figure. I had one of the best weeks ever. Which I ain't knocking, but I think it does play a role of being conscious of my emotions too, of being like, okay. And great things were just happening. Great things have just been happening the last few weeks. So I'll have to circle back with that emotion. I'm trying to think. I love talking about the feelings. Sometimes people be like, you talk about your feelings way too much. You are so emotional. And I'm like, shoot, thank you. I take that as a compliment.
Yeah. Okay. So, Troy, thank you so much for putting. I think that's where I was going with my story. Is that yes, I want to make sure that I'm coming off appropriately without getting like too emotionally involved, but making sure that I'm understood without coming off like I know everything or something like that. That's where my head was going with the conversations that I needed to have. Like I want to be respectful. I want to be direct as possible, not sugarcoat things, but also just not like rude. Like I feel like there's way people definitely can communicate how they're feeling or how things are going in a way that just makes you feel like trash. And I don't ever think that's an appropriate way, especially if you want to communicate effectively or be an effective leader. I don't think you can be or do either one of those things if you're not keeping that in mind and making sure that it's, doesn't just have to be always professional relationships, but
I agree.
Yeah.
I love her.
Did you send Shara the link? She said she was
did.
ready.
Yep. I sent it 2 ways, via text and Messenger.
Oh, I really like that. Troy says that she personally had been trying to put a pin in it and then postpone the hard conversations until emotions are at a calm level, which, yes, definitely, I would agree with that. I think it's really important too, if you're a very, very emotional person and you're seeing red or black, whatever colors you want to contribute to how you're feeling. I don't ever think that's usually the best time for anyone to engage in a serious conversation. Um, but agree, it's super hard because me and Jasmine even talked about it during our original podcast. Is like when we are feeling hot, that's when we usually want to say something. Like that's when we're ready to like splur all these things out. But at least for me, I feel like when I'm in one of those like hot emotions or something like that, it also taps into any other time that I felt that way. So it's like now maybe I'm going off on a tangent on how I felt this way this other time and this way this other time. And now we lost the point of what we originally even talking about, and can't narrow down to even solve any of those issues because there was just too much heat behind how I was feeling. So I definitely like to like get my thoughts together and figure out something, another way to do it at a different time.
Definitely. As Troy said, in the moment you're definitely passionate. You can be super passionate about it. So it's like, oof, like I feel it. I want to. Melinda, I definitely
Just read her comment.
definitely would agree. Those on YouTube, Melinda here, I can relate. However, sometimes it becomes a you point. If you're kind and aware and they end up in their feelings, that's on them. Sometimes people need to hear the whole truth. Um, and specifically in my role, that is very often that I have to give the hard truth. And it is a tough balance. It is a tough balance at times, but you have to separate, I believe, in that moment when it is the hard truth of, and for the team or whoever to know, like it's coming from a place of love, for you to grow, not from this place of, oh, I can't stand what you're doing, XYZ. Um, so we have a guest that was willing to jump on and work through the why activity. We will run through, and as many of you keep in the chat and let us know if you want to do this. Shara's being our first. I'm super excited. Our girl, are you ready? Welcome her into the room.
I didn't catch the first part of what you guys were talking about, so you gotta put me
Run
in.
it back.
Yeah.
Wait, Shanice, are you lagged where you heard her late?
I heard her.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Sorry, I had to clean up after dinner. I was rice and stuff on the floor.
No.
They forced it.
So the beginning of it, girl, we were talking about just the episode in general. We were talking about your feelings, your emotions, how to kind of sit with them, work through them.
Oh, I gotta go.
You are foolish. The activity though is in its own way. We got it kind of is based off of the person, but it's called whys, the 7 whys. And we basically pick, or the way that I do it, Shanice, if you have a different approach, we definitely can go that way, is I will typically ask, okay, what is something that you're currently struggling with? Whether big or small, like what is something you are struggling with? Maybe this week, last month, whatever.
Y'all already know what my struggle is.
just pick one of them. If there's multiple, just pick one, and then
co-parenting with a narcissist. That's my biggest deal right now. I think everything else in my life is going good besides that right now. Okay, what's my why?
Oh, okay, what's your why? Well, so we're going to help work through it with you. You're basically going to speak into what your why is, determine what your why is. We're not going to give you what your why is.
So why is it?
Why it's a struggle?
So if your struggle is co-parenting with a narcissist, why is that a struggle? Why is that hard?
Because he doesn't know he's a narcissist. That's the biggest why. I think he's unaccepting of a lot, but like I think the main thing that has to do with like parenting, he's unaccepting of like I can do it by myself and I don't need him. and he takes that as an attack because I have boundaries now. So I feel like the hardest thing with a narcissist is you try to be cordial and they try to one up you. So it's like I could be cordial, but it's like he'll try to throw in something extra to make it hard for me, meaning like, so for instance, this week, he wanted to take the kids Sunday. This is actually a good one. He wanted to take the kids Sunday to Wednesday after not seeing them since July 3rd. Usually it's a day, and he's there the whole time. So this time he calls me at like 9 in the morning. He's like, hey, I'm trying to get the kids Sunday.
Oh, hold on, girl.
Oh, you're back.
You're back.
Okay. It said I lost connection. So typical Sunday to Monday. So this week it was Sunday to Wednesday, but the 2 days was 3 days out of that. Those days would be the girlfriend watching them for 5 hours at night. Now, this is somebody I've never met. So I was like, all right. First I was like, all right. And then I was like, nah, I'm not. I know how I'm going to feel. You know what I mean? Once I drop them off, he picks them up, whatever. So I said, no. Then I was like, let me not be difficult. Let me meet her. Bring her for pickup, like so we can meet. Then it turned into, you're not meeting her. That's dead. Da 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 da. Like basically try to have the control instead of just dealing with the boundary. Like, no, my kids aren't going with a stranger for 4 hours at night. Like she doesn't know does she know what they eat, what they can't eat, what they require to go to sleep. So then it basically just turned into me snapping because he was like, okay, we'll try again next week. Like cancel out Sunday to Monday. We'll try again next week. So I ended up snapping and saying a bunch of illegal things. So I was just at that point like, not and there's a lot of things I said that I'm not going to say on here, but it just turned into me kind of having a setback. Like a few hours went by and I was like, all right, I overreacted a little bit. Blocked, don't come to the birthday party, all that. So I was just like, you know what? Sunday to Monday's fine. And he came and picked him up. But what I have an issue with the most is snapping. Like, instead of just getting to the point, the end point, like you were saying, like, no, that's not going to work for me Sunday to Monday until you decide I can meet her, whatever. I have an issue with just kind of going off and going on a rampage because I bottle so much up, and then that all comes out the second I get the opportunity, which at that point was him saying, no, you can't meet her, and everything else that he said. Like, just trying to, like, put me down about the fact that I didn't go along with his way. It was just his way or the highway, and I wasn't taking the highway. I mean, I took the highway pretty much. But I factor in, like, the kids, you know, like, damn, that's messed up. Like, the kids aren't going to be able to see him. Even one day would have been better than no days. So it's like, I think I have a bigger issue with.
Can I real quick? So to make sure that I'm following along, when we asked, okay, what is something you're struggling with? For you, it was co-parenting.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm hearing, and I could be completely wrong, what you personally struggle with co-parenting, is it not having control, or is it
It sounds like it could be that, but it's more so, I don't know. Like it's so for me it's dealing with his boundaries, not having any. For me, it's I have my boundaries. These are going to be the boundaries. I call the shots when it comes to the kids and how we're supposed to move in a sense of like what's good for them. So for me, I feel like it may not be okay. I'm putting my kids in danger by sending them off with somebody I haven't met, but in my eyes, it is. You know what I mean? I don't trust. I'm not leaving my kids with somebody I don't trust.
I got you. So it's a struggle for you because of his lack of boundaries.
Yeah.
Why is lack of boundaries important to you?
Because I feel like if you don't have boundaries when it comes to things, it's like you're just overstepping with everyday life. Like these are babies at the end of the day. They need structure. They need things that they're familiar with. I can't just throw them into something new. God forbid they were uncomfortable. You know what I mean? He's not there. I'm not there. That is a prime example for me of like, I would feel like I'm lacking as a mom to protect them, to keep them safe. And then not only that, but the lack of consistency. Now, if I say, okay, to Sunday to Wednesday, that's them now getting comfortable being around for 3 days versus 1. So that gets taken away. You know what I mean? That gets taken away that's harder to get back from than one day.
All right. So I feel like the next why, so it's co-parenting is the struggle. Why? Because of his lack of boundaries. Why is that important? Is because that creates oh man, we lost her again.
She's gonna come back. I can see it. It says no video feed. But go ahead, continue with what your thought.
My thought is the lack of boundaries, and then the why is that important is because it creates inconsistency with the kids' safety, health, and a routine.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So once you can come back, we'll circle. We'll pin it on that. But I definitely would agree that's what I understood from her responses as well. While we wait for Shara, again, as we see some more people diving in, you'll see in the comment section. I think she's trying. We are going through the why activity. Shara is our first guest. We have no problem running it up with more of you, kind of focusing on this and digging a little bit deeper into why certain things are a struggle versus important to you and getting to the root. And we're hoping to help you identify, not us give you the response, help you identify of why something is hard or important to you.
It doesn't necessarily have to take 7 whys to get there, but
exactly.
It could be less, it could be more. But
one thing that we didn't tell Shar, and just in general for everyone that's watching and that may want to join, it's really the first things that come to your mind, like not to think very long and hard about your response, and being clear and concise of like answer the question, right? Why is that important? Cool. And then we're going to move on and help you kind of work through that too.
Because I feel like it can also get very easy to it can be very easy for you to, get on those tangents of like other emotions that could be related to that, but then you start losing focus on like what your original thought process was.
Exactly. And in the kind of the way that, Shara too, like, right, she's giving us actually concrete detail and information to the issue. As you can see, and I think a lot of us do it, is when you are asked the question of the struggle, I think our first reaction is to think about someone else, not directly related to you. She back. She made it.
There we go. Can't hear you. See if you're muted.
Let me see. We can see you. We can't hear you yet.
There might be a button that looks like a microphone. You might be muted.
Yeah, we can hear you.
No, we can't.
I mean, sorry, we can't hear you. No.
We can just see you.
This is why we love technology. Sometimes we on, sometimes we off. Okay. So try to. Oh, there we go.
Okay. Can you hear me?
We heard yeah. Nala, Romeo. That's what we heard. There he is. Okay, so Shanice is going to follow up for where we lost you and the way that she interpreted your why.
Yeah. Okay. So we started with the co-parenting as the struggle because of his lack of having or respecting boundaries. That was the first why. Mm-hmm. And then the second one was why is, the lack of boundaries, or why are boundaries important? Or no, why is it important to register that he has a lack of boundaries? And what I gathered from what you were saying was because it creates inconsistency with the kids' safety, health, or the routine that they're used to. Would that be fair? Okay. Yeah. So from there, is there anything else like why are those things, their safety, health, and a consistent routine important to you? So, you can draw.
I feel like genuinely who they are, how we're raising them is who they're going to become. You know what I mean? If they're kids who are growing up that are dealing with inconsistencies, that's going to deal with lack of trust. Dealing with people, for me as a mom, I don't know, I just feel like I'm their sole protector. I've been their sole protector since they were born. So I have to take every step to make sure that they're fine. They're going to be comfortable. I know how my kids are. They're very sheltered children. You know what I mean? Like, they're outgoing, they're happy, but they don't be around people who don't know them. I don't know. You know what I mean? So I just feel like there's certain ways that I wish he was aware of how they're raised, but that circles back to the consistency. Like, if you're not here, you don't know. And there's only so much chasing for them that I'm going to do.
Okay. Yeah. So that consistency, the reason why that is important to all of those things, their health, their safety, all of that is for them to grow up
Their
and have
mental
a sense
health,
of trust and
understanding and boundaries, essentially, too. Like, you don't want people to just be able to walk in and out of your life and think that's okay. And then they don't want me. I just feel, I don't know, it's like a guilt thing in a way. I feel like just God forbid anything were to happen, that's on me. You know what I mean? I don't know how much he trusts her. I just know he trusts her. You know what I mean? And then there's a deeper aspect into it. Like, this woman doesn't even have custody of her own kids. Not to put her on blast, but it's like, how do I trust a woman who lost her children with mine? Like, it gets deep. So it's like, it goes past the bitterness. I haven't been bitter in years. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm happy and content outside of that. But everybody knows, like, how I am with my kids. They're first. You know what I mean? Their safety, their protection, and their happiness comes first before mine.
So what I definitely just heard from what you were just saying right there is that the importance of having the structure, the consistency as well. There seems to be a gap of trust that you have for external parties. And what I mean by that, like Mojo, or excuse me, I'm so sorry, your thing, and the girl. I don't mean to do that. Would you say that, like, trust is a big thing for you?
Oh yeah. Because if I can't trust you in the situation or the environment, like, my kids just aren't going to be there. Oh, sorry, 1 second.
Yeah.
Hold on.
No problem.
Which is important, like, especially with kids. Like, I don't know what parent wouldn't necessarily feel that way. Like, you're not gonna purposely put your kids in a situation that you just don't know what's gonna happen. And, like, I mean, because this can turn into a whole nother conversation too. Like, I get the line between the parents and how there probably would be plenty of people that are like, well, like, the dad, like, you should know the dad well enough. And
yeah, but it's like, I don't even trust that man. So, you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, if you can't trust the person, like, regardless of who else they would bring around your children or whatever, if you can't trust the individual you put in charge of their safety and their health and all that, I also wouldn't feel comfortable with that.
Right.
So for me, truthfully, Shara, one is that, and this is nothing, towards you, but I feel like you got down to your quote unquote 7 whys a lot faster than I think the average person. And the reason I say that is because, right, like, your struggle again is the co-parenting, but I think the root of it is because you have trust issues for the person that you're supposed to be co-parenting with. Right?
Yeah. And then it's also, you know what I mean? Because it's like, you guys know, like, with his daughter, like, I raised her. I helped raise her for 7 years. You know what I mean? So it's like, I also know how he moves when it's like, okay, there's another female involved helping me with my kids. I was the one doing everything. You know what I mean? Like, I was the sole provider when she was up here those summers. So it's like, if I can't trust you and I know how he moves once he gets comfortable enough with a female to let them help him, it's like, I know how it's going to go with mine. So you have to at least respect my wishes by you know, just let me talk to her. I'm not going to sit there and interrogate her like, why you don't got custody of your kids? I want to, but that's a boundary that regardless, I'm probably not going to get the truth. And two, that kind of oversees the actual problem at hand. Like, is the end goal ever going to be for them to go for those 3 nights?
Yeah.
Right now, no, because it's like, you're not even taking the first step.
I feel you.
In that direction. So one, how bad do you want it? And how bad do you want that to be something that is successful in the end?
Yep.
So if your end of your whys were that basically you don't trust the person that you need to co-parent with, do you have any ideas or like not even what you've tried so far, because you know maybe those aren't working out, but ideas of what you could do to gain that trust or get to a place where you could co-parent the way that you want? Like obviously there'll still be compromises probably on both ends, but
yeah,
what's like one thing you can do?
I'm fairly easy. You know what I mean? It's like, these are your kids too. And at the end of the day, my biggest thing is Romeo, because it's like, I can do everything in my power to raise him right. I can't be his dad. You know what I mean? Like, I can't. That's just, I'm a female. I can't do that. Right. But what it comes down to is, it's like, I just would never be comfortable without meeting her and just observing. You know what I mean? Because that's what we do as mothers. We observe. And fathers as well. You bring your children somewhere new, you're observing, you're watching people. It's just natural. So for me to just be like, here, take them and hope it goes well. You know what I mean? It's like, I wouldn't even sleep.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think that's an unfair boundary or an unfair request to just be like, hey, like I get it. Like I'm not really trying to put all these stipulations on it, but if we look at the grand scheme of things, this is something that I need to feel comfortable, because my kids are like our kids, my kids, whatever, are involved, and for the both of us, it definitely should be their safety and their health put as a priority. So I say stick to it.
Yeah.
Oh, I am.
And not, I'm so sorry, not to like circle back to the original, right? Like, what are you struggling with? But why is co-parenting important to you?
Because kids are just better. Kids just grow up better in a healthier state of mind. They tend to lack less just off experience when they have both parents that are stable and consistent in their lives. Like, you get both sides of the game. I feel like I said, like with Romeo alone, like I can't be a father figure to him. I can do everything up until that point. You know what I mean? I can be hard on him as a father would. I can teach him how to play basketball. You know what I mean? But it's like, I'm not his dad. It's just different. It's different levels to it.
Right.
It's just things that we can't. It's not even to knock females, because it's like, this is my life. But it's like, it's just something I've always had such a strong feeling about when it came to after I had a son. Like with Nala, it was a little more easier to like deal with, but when I had Romeo, I was like, okay, like now this is gonna get a little different. And he deals with his absence, a lot different than Nala ever did. Like, he's very vocal. Nala would kind of just act a little funny, but Romeo's very vocal. Like, I miss my dad. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like when we're about to go do things that are like fun, or like we're sitting down at dinner, like he'll say, and it's like valid. You know what I mean? So it's like, damn. So that's where I was just talking about with Gabby's mom, actually. Like, I think that's like why I go so hard and put myself through the stress of it, because it's like, he needs him to be the best man he can be. I feel like he needs his dad, whether or not, or at least a man figure. Let me not say just his dad, but it's, you know what I mean, like a consistent role in his life as a man.
Yeah. And so I'm sorry, because I know I railed back into the original, but I'm going to go back down to, where I believe your, quote unquote end why is that trust. Not this situation at all. In general, relationships in your life, friendship, family, all that good stuff. Do you trust?
It definitely depends on the person. I don't easily trust, but certain people for sure. Like, that's something that was built. That's just not something I met you last year and we've been vibing and I trust you. It's definitely something that takes history and bonds. Like, I don't easily trust. So no.
Mm-hmm. Which makes it obvious. Well, like, Shanice and I know you, but for the ones that are out there watching, the reason I circled to that question is because, yes, like we're head on of what what she's struggling with. But again, the root of it is most of the time when there is one person that you are struggling with as far as trust goes, it's probably other relationships in your life as well. And then a little bit deeper into that, I think, whether personal childhood or just other relationships that have hurt you or broken your trust, I think play a role in full. And to try to work through that piece itself, I think is extremely important.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I feel like it stems more from that relationship, because you guys know we met. I was damn near a kid still. I was 19, so it's like that kind of was my whole upbringing as an adult, being in that situation.
Right.
So it's like, I mean, there wasn't really too much before that. I mean, it was just, I would definitely just say that relationship, and then the aftermath of it is the co-parenting. So it's like that's where really it's the trust and whole stems from with even new relationships.
Yep.
And making new relationships, because it's like when you see somebody go from a certain, like a person that you grew to love and like admire, to somebody that you don't even want them to have your number.
Mm-hmm.
Like it hits a little different.
It do.
And that messes me up a little bit too. Like people are like, it's off topic, but it's like the way I handle men now. Like sometimes I'm like, damn, like I really be acting like a whole nigga out here. Like try not to be like that. Like try to be a little more softer, but it's not in me all the time, because it's like I just peep things so fast now. Like I just see things differently. Like I'm just not as naive to the mask, I guess you could say.
Right.
So I come off a little strong, but it's really like everybody knows, if you know me, like I mean well. You know what I mean? Like I have a great heart. I have good intentions on purpose.
It's just no filter.
Right.
No filter.
Yeah, but it's like you gotta call it, because if you don't call it, they're gonna try again.
That's true. That's true. Cool. Well, Char, we thank you for working it through with us.
Damn, that was it.
I mean, at this point, it just comes down to like what work
I'm
you
just
personally need to do to like get to where you want to be in that relationship, or whatever you want to call it at this point. But the co-parenting side of it, and if it does relate to any other relationships that you have, like it just comes down to, so once you have that why, okay, I know it's actually this at the bottom of it. Mm-hmm. What is in my control that I can start working towards a better lifestyle, outcome. A better way to, exactly, outcome.
Yeah. Well, thanks, ladies. Love the
Thank you.
Thank you.
The hand playing. I mean, wow, coming onto the camera just ready. Who would have thought?
$400, you just slap it on.
Okay.
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
Hi.
I know.
Nola.
Hi, Rose.
Hey, Romeo.
Oh, hey.
I thought you were talking to your workers.
Okay, worker. All right, y'all. Well,
see you later.
Out. They're so cute. I can't stand it. Good. Like I said, like I was genuinely shocked that it went that for her. So quick to the root. And I think, you said it great, of like the summary of it, of, once you're able to get down to your why and acknowledge, okay, it is trust. What now? Like, I know that is what I am dealing with. What can I do now to improve my trust within my relationships, whether an intimate relationship or not?
Right.
In general, because it definitely rolls over. So I think that was amazing. Those, if anybody else is out there, I know we've been on for a little bit now, but if there's anybody that happens to be watching right this second,
last call.
This is the last call. If you'd like for us to work through the whys with you,
BRB, sorry guys.
No problem. Again, while she steps away, if you haven't had a chance, hit the replay. Hit the replay on our conversation and dialogue of Feeling the Feels, as well as working through the What's the Word activity, which again was the 7 Whys. This is an activity that I've been doing for years with loved ones, friends, with coworkers. I do believe it helps in the long run. And it also, when you're doing the whys, feel free to reach out to Shanice and I directly, even after this live, if you want some one-on-one interaction and engagement outside of the public eye. We have no problem doing that as well. But if you are going to do it with someone in your corner, the main thing is to make sure they are not coaching you or prepping you on your response. They are simply there to listen and ask follow-up questions. It's not to agree with what you're saying or not. It is simply to be your ear and help you work through the root of the quote unquote problem or struggle. All right. Well, hopefully Shanice will be back any second here. We will conclude the podcast from here. Since there's no one that would like to dive into it, we, of course, as always, love you tuning in, sharing your recommendations, communicating, having these dialogues. Understand that they're super important. We don't have enough platforms where open and honest communication happen. Shanice, we're saying our goodbyes.
Oh, okay. No problem. Yes, I agree. I caught the tail end of what you were saying. But yeah, definitely appreciate everyone that's joined. I definitely want to do this again where we have guests come on and interact during our lives. So make sure that you are subscribing to tune into these things. And just be ready for the next topic, because it's going to be another good one.
Yes, yes. All right, everyone. As always, peace and hair grease.
Bye, y'all.